The night shift at Burger Barn in Cedarville was always slow. After 10 p.m. Luke Tanner wiped the counter for the 5th time, pretending not to hear his stomach growl. His paycheck barely covered rent, and his old sneakers had holes, but at least the job kept the lights on. Then the doorbell chimed. A teenage boy stepped in, shivering from the cold, holding out a debit card that didn't work. The total was $8.75. Luke looked up at the security camera, sighed, and quietly paid for the meal. He didn't know that small act would change his life forever. Luke's life was stuck in repeat. Every morning, he biked to his small apartment, slept for a few hours, then rode back to the restaurant. His co-workers laughed when he stayed late to help clean. To them, he was a pushover. A man who worked hard, but never got anywhere. He'd once dreamed of learning coding, maybe finding a better job, but those dreams faded with every overdue bill. The only thing Luke still believed in was being decent, even if no one noticed. It was his quiet rule in a world that had stopped rewarding kindness. The next morning, his manager, Mr. Dugan, waved a printed paper. It was a warning slip. Unauthorized payment. Luke had technically stolen food by paying for someone else's meal. Dugan said another mistake like that would mean termination. Luke just nodded and kept working. There was no point in arguing. He needed the paycheck. Still, as he scrubbed the fryer, he wondered how helping a hungry kid had become a punishable act. That question stuck with him long after his shift ended, echoing louder than the hum of the restaurant lights. Life rolled on. Customers came and went, most barely looking at Luke's face when they ordered. The smell of fries clung to his clothes, even after washing. Every night, he watched free YouTube tutorials on coding, using his cracked phone, pretending he was learning something that could change his future. But exhaustion always won. He'd fall asleep mid-video, headphones still in, dreaming of a world where his effort actually mattered. Still, he refused to quit. Somewhere deep down, he hoped that if he kept trying, maybe life would give him one good break. A week later, that break appeared in the form of a familiar face. The same teenager walked into Burger Barn again, cleaner, more confident this time, a laptop bag slung over his shoulder. Luke recognized him instantly. The boy smiled and thanked him again for the meal. His name was Noah. He said things were looking up now. Luke just nodded, surprised he even remembered him. The restaurant was quiet, and for the first time in weeks, someone was actually talking to Luke without barking an order. It felt strange, almost hopeful. Noah mentioned he'd been working on something, a small app idea. He didn't explain much, but said he was trying to build something that helped people like Luke find flexible work. Luke didn't quite understand it, but was intrigued. He'd never met anyone creating an app before. The conversation ended quickly, when the manager glared from the back office, but something about Noah's confidence stuck with Luke. It reminded him of who he used to be, before the bills, before the burnout, before he stopped believing he could change anything. The next few days dragged. The smell of burnt oil mixed with frustration. When Luke tried to ask Noah more about his app the next time he came in, the manager appeared again, accusing Luke of wasting company time. He was written up once more. Luke forced a calm smile, hiding the anger boiling inside. Helping someone or showing interest in something outside of work always seemed to get him in trouble. It felt like the world wanted him small, quiet, and replaceable. That night, he left his shift questioning if decency was worth it anymore. Later that week, Noah showed up again with an unexpected offer. He said he needed testers for his app, just people to give honest feedback. Luke laughed awkwardly. "I don't even know how to use those kinds of things," he admitted. But Noah said that's exactly why he needed him. The app was meant for regular people. Luke hesitated, then agreed to help. That night, after work, he downloaded the prototype on his old phone. For the first time in months, he felt curious about something again. The app was simple. A platform where people could pick up local side jobs based on their schedule. Luke played around with it, noticing little bugs and confusing buttons. He wrote down notes, unsure if his feedback mattered. But the act of being part of something felt good. It gave him a sense of control. something missing from his daily grind. When he sent the notes to Noah, he expected nothing. Instead, Noah replied within an hour, thanking him and calling his feedback super helpful. It was the first time anyone said that to him in years. The next morning, Luke went back to work with a small sense of pride. He didn't tell anyone about the app, but inside it felt like a secret piece of progress. Then his paycheck arrived, short by nearly $50. The manager said it was for minor rule violations. Luke didn't argue. He just nodded, pretending it didn't sting. That night, he opened the app again, testing new features Noah had added. For the first time, he realized how much he wanted something better than this, something he could be proud of. Days turned into weeks. Luke kept helping Noah quietly. Every time he gave feedback, Noah improved the app. He even added a section for fast food workers to find part-time shifts nearby. Luke smiled seeing his idea live in an app. He never told Noah that the suggestions came from his own struggles. Still, it felt like leaving fingerprints on something that might outlive his job. Each update gave him a little more purpose, something the restaurant never could. But good things didn't last. One afternoon, Luke's manager caught him on his phone during a slow period. He wasn't scrolling aimlessly, he was testing the app. But that didn't matter. The manager yelled in front of everyone and accused him of being lazy. Luke apologized, but the damage was done. A final warning was issued. One more mistake, and he was out. Luke left that night feeling defeated. He wanted to help build something meaningful, but all the world saw was a fry cook breaking rules. Despite the setback, Noah's project kept growing. He told Luke that investors were interested, but wanted changes. They wanted the app to make money fast, even if it meant charging users. Noah looked uneasy. Luke told him not to give up on the original goal, helping people who needed it. Noah nodded, but Luke could tell he was torn. For the first time, Luke realized he wasn't just helping test a program, he was shaping someone's vision of fairness in a world that rarely showed it. Then it all fell apart. The next day, the manager pulled Luke into the office. Someone had reported that he'd been using his phone to run a side business. The accusation was false, but the result was the same: termination. Luke stood silently while the manager listed the reasons. No one defended him. He walked out with his uniform cap in his hand, eyes burning but dry. Outside, the cold hit hard. He'd lost the only job keeping him afloat. All for helping someone again. Days blurred together. Luke sold his old bike for rent money and skipped meals to stretch what little cash he had. He avoided calls from family. They'd only say, "We told you to get serious." For the first time, he regretted his choices. Maybe kindness really was a weakness. The memory of Noah's thanks felt far away now, like something that happened in another life. Then, out of nowhere, a knock came at his door. Noah stood there, smiling nervously, holding coffee and a laptop. He said he'd been trying to reach Luke. The app had just secured major funding, and Noah wanted Luke to join officially as a consultant. Luke thought it was a joke. He told Noah he didn't know anything about tech or business. But Noah insisted. He said Luke's insights were what made the app human. Still, Luke refused, too embarrassed to accept charity. But that night, the offer replayed in his mind again and again. The next morning, Luke opened his cracked phone and scrolled through the app. He realized many features came from his suggestions, the ones based on his own struggles. Maybe he had helped more than he thought. That realization pushed him to call Noah back. He accepted the offer. It wasn't much money at first, but it was a start, a chance to rebuild. He promised himself he wouldn't waste it. Working remotely from his small apartment, Luke tested updates, wrote notes, and slowly learned the basics of coding. It was hard, but he enjoyed it. For once, his opinions mattered. He didn't need a suit or degree, just honesty and effort. Noah often thanked him publicly on their team calls. Luke didn't know how to respond, but deep down, it meant everything. Within months, the app exploded in popularity. People from small towns started sharing how it helped them find work. Noah's investors, though, wanted to turn it into a paid subscription model. That would lock out the very people it was meant to help. Noah looked conflicted, unsure whether to fight back. Luke reminded him of why it began. For people like me, that simple truth hit hard. After a sleepless night, Noah made his decision. He refused the investors' demand and bought back majority control, risking everything. The move nearly bankrupted them. For a few tense weeks, it seemed like the app would collapse. Luke stayed calm, helping however he could, testing, encouraging, reminding Noah that people still needed what they were building. Then something unexpected happened. A small-town content creator made a viral video about the app, calling it the app built for the overlooked. Overnight, downloads skyrocketed. News outlets picked it up. Suddenly, everyone was talking about how a young developer and a fast food worker built something that changed lives. Media requests poured in. Noah appeared on interviews, trying to stay humble. During one show, he was asked what inspired the app's mission. Noah smiled and said it began with a night at a fast food counter, when a worker he'd never met paid for his meal out of kindness. The story went viral instantly. People flooded comment sections, asking who that worker was. When Noah called Luke afterward, Luke was speechless. He didn't expect credit, just a chance to make a difference. But hearing millions of people react to a story about a $9 meal made him realize something. Kindness wasn't small. It had ripples. Noah promised something big was coming. Luke didn't know what that meant, but he trusted him. A few weeks later, a letter arrived. Inside was a certificate showing Luke had been granted equity in the company, a share of the profits. The amount stunned him. Practically overnight, he was a millionaire. He sat on the edge of his bed, surrounded by old fast food uniforms and unpaid bills, laughing in disbelief. For once, life had finally paid him back. The money didn't change Luke's nature. He didn't buy fancy cars or move away. Instead, he paid off debts, fixed his mom's roof, and donated to local shelters. He knew how it felt to be forgotten, and he didn't want anyone else to feel that way. Every dollar was used like a thank you to the world, proof that kindness could win, even if late. One afternoon, Luke walked back into Burger Barn, not as an employee, but as a customer. The same manager was there, older and still bitter. Luke ordered meals for everyone on shift and quietly paid. When the manager tried to protest, Luke just smiled. No cameras, no warnings, just quiet kindness again, full circle. That night, Luke looked at the app's dashboard. Thousands of workers were earning through it. He realized he'd gone from a man barely surviving to someone helping others do the same. And it all started with one small choice: to care when no one else did. News articles called him the man whose kindness built a company. Luke didn't think he deserved that title. He hadn't built anything, he just believed in someone, when it didn't cost much. But that belief had built a bridge between two lives that changed everything. As Luke sat by his apartment window that night, lights from downtown flickering outside, he thought about how life had come full circle. The same street where he'd once gone hungry now glowed with his company's billboard. He smiled quietly, realizing the truth. The world doesn't reward kindness immediately, but it never forgets it either. If this story of how one small act of kindness turned into a life-changing reward inspired you, consider subscribing for more.